Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another match of the Carling Currie Cup. This one, the Cheetahs taking on the Griquas, and we are close to a top of the table clash between these two sides. Looking at the table, the way that it stands, there is one side in between these two teams, and that is Borland. But for now, the Cheetahs at the top of the bunch, 5 played, 4 wins, 1 loss, with the 21 points on the overall table. For the Griquas, they sit there with the 20 points. They are just behind, so whoever wins this game for now will be sitting top of the table. Still plenty of games to come in this round, including this match, the Sharks taking on Borland, so that will help either the Borland side get a little bit further ahead, or we will see perhaps a bit of a drop there, depending on what happens. And in this contest, also the Western Province, they will be taking on the Pumas. The Lions, they will be taking on the Bulls. Looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides. First of all, for the Cheetahs, a side that have gone very well from start to finish. Sekaketi getting the big milestone match for this matchup. But Mossy, Fundermerva, and Volskink in that number 8 jersey. That is a dangerous trio for this contest. Also out on the wing, there is the pace, Clayton Blomekes at number 15. Another player to keep an eye on. But overall, this Cheetahs side, they've been considered as underdogs at points throughout this season, but with the loss just once throughout this year, I do feel like maybe they are real contenders in this Carling Currie Cup competition. Looking through at the Griquas, for their side, they have got Davids in the front row alongside Ice as well as Lamini. That is where they have tried to be physical right up front with that scrum. They've got some pace out on the wing in Gershon, where they've got the power of Dylan Mart out on the other, and Hufka at the back to try and control it for the Griquas. I have no idea why, but I've almost already lost my voice, and we are only on the first live stream of the weekend. A little bit of a makeshift kind of weekend here because of no rugby championship, but we're going to be doing some of the Pacific Nations Cup. We've got some of the Women's World Cup coming up, as well as some Bunnings NPC on the channel as well. We have got their chair, Uncle Hamish says, Sprees White D, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. We have got high scoring game from Ruth with a question mark. I think it is going to be like last 2 games in terms of what these sides have done. In fact, that is the perfect time to look at it. Last game for the Cheetahs, they had 47 points to 31. So certainly a lot of tries being scored throughout that contest. For the Griquas, they had a high scoring game too, although they were pretty dominant over a Bulls side that were playing at home almost. They were away from Loftus. But, it's a weird season for some of these top sides. And I do think with the fact that they can't be demoted, that has affected who they have selected a little bit. It's all about building up towards that next URC season as well as the Carling Currie Cup. Yeah, plenty of intrigue. With only the 1 week left before the playoffs, the Bulls, they will be taking on the Cheetahs next week. And then the Lions, they have got the Griquas. They are just talking to Franz Stein, who is the head coach of the Cheetahs. Looking forward to the weekend coverage, Hamish, says Adrian. But yeah, this weekend's definitely different to what we normally have. It's very much a mixture of a whole heap of different competitions thrown into one weekend. And then, of course, those big matches taking place next weekend of the Rugby Championship, as well as the Pacific Nations Cup. Christie will start at 9 for the ABs against the Box. I think if Ratam is out, he's probably really their only option at this point, because they aren't going to throw Kyle Preston in the deep end, I wouldn't think. And also, depending on who the injury cover of Cortez Ratama, you're not going to chuck a Xavier Rowe or a Falau Fakatava straight back into the starting side. So, it's going to be interesting. But I do think that for the South Africans, they are probably going to go with that Reinach as well as Grant Williams starting combo. They should be pretty dangerous for Eden Park as well as Wellington. I don't know much about this comp. I'm going to say Griquas 34-27, says Paddy. So that would be a little bit of an upset here, seeing as the Cheetahs are considered favourites, although the Griquas have also had some very good wins throughout this Carling Currie Cup season. We have got 29-27 in favour of the Cheetahs from G. Pettis. And there as well, and I, Hamish I all says Wild Lobster, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. They are just showing that top of the table in terms of how close it has been for these sides, and we will do the same. There you go. That is what we are looking at for this Carling Currie Cup season. There is plenty on the line, and I just feel like, 1 or 2 big moments in this game could determine it, because both of these sides are more than capable of scoring tries. There's no denying that, but I do think something that both of these teams can be susceptible to is conceding tries as well. Now, You know, you've got two teams that can score a lot, so they're probably going to get those bonus points. That is one big benefit that both of these sides do have. We have also got there in the chat, do we sacrifice Preston on attack for Finley's defence? Tough question. Exactly right. And how much training in terms of building a combination have they done with Kyle Preston in the training? Because, you know, a debut, the one good thing about it would be it's unpredictable because no one will know what to expect from that man. But, you know, it's a tough one, a big ask as well. Definitely when you're going up against someone like a Grant Williams. Preston has a better kicking game and gets the ball out quicker, but lacks on defence. Says Sprees. And hi, Hamish. I all says Wild. A nice grey hoodie, Hamish. Says Ruth. And there as well. And it is greatly appreciated you popping in for this live stream 3 a.m. in New Zealand. You're sacrificing a lot for the game. We appreciate it, says Martin. And we've got plenty more sleep-deprived days and nights coming up in the near future too. But yeah, like at the Currie Cup, the thing is, with the games tomorrow, there are also Women's World Cup matches, and I haven't decided which games I am doing yet. There will be a lot of overlapping in terms of describing another game in terms of the score while doing a commentary on another. But just in case we were going to end up doing a couple World Cup games for the women tomorrow, I made sure I wanted to do this stream for this one. Do you think ABs have a captaincy issue, especially Barrett, or specifically Barrett? Says Martin. It's a tricky one because obviously Scott Robertson sees something in Scott Barrett that, I'll be honest, a lot of other people don't see. I think that Artie Savia, for me anyway, is still the best choice as that captain. But, you know, it's a weird one because you also have to ask the question, if Tui Pilotu wasn't injured, is Barrett the best four currently for New Zealand? Or would it be Tui Pilotu? And I think that you could argue that Big Paddy would actually get that jersey. But it's a tricky one overall. But, you know, if he's Razor's guy, we've got to stick with him. We have got there. Chrissy knows exactly what Bodie wants. And all of this idiosyncrasies. It seems like a seamless replacement at Eden Park. I can get behind him. Says Sprees. And I agree we have a leadership issue on the field. Says Martin, afternoon, Hamish, Padza and chat. Says Jimbo, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. We're only about 2 minutes away from the kickoff of this contest between the Cheetahs and the Griquas. And they are looking like pretty decent sides throughout this Currie Cup season. Scott Barrett isn't a motivational leader, and Tui Pilotu has been in better form and should start if Barrett wasn't captain. Says Sprees. Yeah, and the thing is, we're only a couple days away theoretically, because if Rasi announces his side as early as he has throughout the rest of the Rugby Championship, we are probably only about, I'd say, 72 hours away from knowing what South Africa are going to throw out on the field for that Eden Park Test match, which is extremely exciting. And it's also exciting because all of the announcements will be made at New Zealand time periods. You know, I don't think we're going to have too many 3 a.m. announcements like we have had for the past one. Love the debate, Hamish. Says Jimbo, it was definitely a unique type of video. See, the original plan of it was going to be the kind of pros and cons of just the All Blacks, which is why I think at times I did go a little bit too All Black heavy in terms of my arguments, but then there was kind of the late adjustment where we said, right, we have to throw some stuff about the Springboks in there as well. They are just showing there, Sikaketi. He is having his 100th game in a Cheetahs kit, the big milestone opportunity here for the Cheetahs skipper. Can his team also live up to the expectations? A win here at home would pretty much book a home semi-final. Mark one, because he said he swore a lot. And the thing is, he swore a lot more than, like, I think myself and Tony were anticipating. But unfortunately, I just can't trash talk. If I could, then that might have won me a couple of those segments of the debate, but instead I told dad jokes, and that did hurt my chances just a little bit, even though I thought the jokes weren't too bad. But two sides on the field, Blomakis. He's just making sure he knows what side he is going to be on in terms of field position. Christopher Allison, the referee in charge of this matchup. Ground's looking not too bad, to be honest, at the moment. A little bit green. And Jimbo and Ruth chatterboxing. Says Wild there. There are a lot of smiling faces on the Cheetahs at the moment. The Griquas, they are looking a lot more focused and ready to go for this match. But I do want to know your score predictions for this contest, ladies and gentlemen. Do let me know who you think will be winning this match. Is it going to be the Griquas? Is it going to be the Cheetahs? Oh, we have got says Freddie in there too. But this one could honestly be 50-50. I do think that the Griquas away from home, it is going to be a pretty tough mountain to climb. You're right, Artie is the man for the 8th position. Says Ruth. And we have got there, we have to early wild. It's Friday, work's done, and the vodka's calling. Says Jimbo there too. Probably a decent way to spend the weekend, and that's the thing. In fact, that is a question, ladies and gents. Because the Rugby Championship is not happening this weekend, of course it is a competition that most people do watch in the rugby world, what competition are you looking forward to watching the most that maybe either you'd only watch some of, or perhaps now because there's no Rugby Championship you are, really invested in? Is it the NPC, the Pacific Nations Cup, the Currie Cup, or the Women's World Cup that is currently taking place? But now it's going to be kicked off by the Griquas. George Whitehead getting us underway. He's had a great season so far. He had that one shaky game, but you can't hold that against him, as he's normally extremely clinical. We'll get that scoreboard hopefully updating. There we go. Got to do it manually on these Currie Cup live streams. Same with the NPC. 4 tries to 2 for the Griquas. Randomly factual. Said, hi Hamish, I love the debate. But I don't trust Tony as the moderator. It was a fixed fight. He likes a bit of trash talk, Tony, so I feel like Mark was really getting into that. But no, it was a lot of fun. Like, there was probably about 15 minutes of random stuff that also got cut out. But yeah, it was a very much on the fly. Like, there was never going to be a timer initially, but Tony obviously decided we both rambled too much for our first segment, so he said, right, 90 seconds. And yeah, it kind of went from there. Hard to guess a score here. Griquas 43 to the Cheetahs 36. Is there from Ruth, but line out throw here for the Griquas, 22 metres out from the Cheetahs line. So they will look to get that rolling maul moving forward. Yanko Ice, he's got his hands on it at the back. Sikakiti trying to make his way through the middle of that maul. In his 100th match, the great Griquas, the Giris. Says Kevin Rompich, Stadium Hamish says, Yuri, it is indeed. I do know it's the wrong one, but yeah, for some reason it wouldn't let me put Free State, the stadium in behind, so I just went Cape Town, seeing as it was, it's grass and it's got a stadium stand. So I just went with that and hoped no one would spot, but well done. You got too many super sleuth skills, like Scooby-Doo. Was Scooby-Doo actually a good detective, though? Because he was scared of pretty much everything except a sandwich. Now running forward, the Griquas. Ball in hand, going off to the left-hand side. And bursting through the line. Nice attack and run. Pops the ball up to Gershon Weir, who will be 2 metres out from the line. Some very strong defence, but also a great run from Cameron Hufka. Short ball goes into Whitehead's hands. And the Griquas scored first. We have there as well the great Griquas. And also, you three were a lot of fun. Definitely would watch it again. Says randomly factual. Yeah, we'll have to try and work out whether or not we want to try and do it again for the second match, or maybe for the later rounds of the Rugby Championship. Because I do think there were little things that we could maybe adjust. But yeah, it's the first time that I've actually had both of them on a video, rather than like a last minute adjustment or last minute coming on to a live stream. Good afternoon. And how are you, Hamish? Says Mohadine. I'm doing very well. Excited for this match. Great short ball there to start the match off for the Griquas. Abrahams with the assist. Whitehead with the try. I've just remembered I'm the scoreboard, so we better put that one on. George Whitehead, though, lining up this kick. It's close to the sideline. Looks pretty good, and it's gone over 7 points to 0 now for the Griquas. So they are picking up from where they left off in their last contest up against the Bulls. They were not supposed to win that game, but they certainly did. We have got there 29 points to 27 for the Free State, and also Hamish has Signal Hill, Cape Town Stadium, right down the road from me. And 4 tries apiece. It will come down to kicking accuracy and a small margin. And if Whitehead's kicking well, he will certainly be one to keep an eye out for. No, says Jumbo, and the Scooby-Doo rabbit hole is deep. And are you doing South Africa Women game Sunday? I am hoping to. It'll be a bit of an interesting one because it does overlap with New Zealand versus Japan. So my plan is probably going to be do New Zealand, Japan up till half time and then give updates on that game while covering the whole of South Africa versus Italy. Nothing against that Black Ferns Japan game, but I think by halftime we'll know who's going to win it. Whereas in the Italy versus South Africa game, that is actually a playoff. And, you know, it's only round 2, but whoever wins that game will go through to the quarterfinals alongside France, unless something drastic happens. So there's actually a huge amount of significance heading into that matchup. Well, that was quick, says Badzer. We have got there from Lilia B. I am and everyone. It's too late to give a prediction. It is certainly not, Lilia. Do let us know who you think is going to win it. Although, Griquas, early start, George Whitehead scoring the try, doesn't normally. So I don't know if that's a sign of things to come or whether he just found a good gap. Now a little chip in behind from the Cheetahs. The ball's going to be bouncing awkwardly there for the Griquas. Number 14, Dylan Marty's running sideways in his in-goal area, manages to work it out and now boots it down the middle of the field. Good at attacking. Chase here from, I think it's Hofka, who's sitting there all by himself. Now putting this ball up high for the Cheetahs. It is Cohen Jasper. And that's going to be taken in the air. Gershon Ware does take the quick tap as well. Decides to go off. Tackled by the Cheetahs defence. Although now the Griquas, a lot of space to work with again. Hofka with a big offload. And now short flat attack and run. It's another try for the Griquas. Zane Bester. These Griquas fellas need to settle down a bit. It's an 80-minute game and they have already struck twice in the first 6 minutes. I don't think anyone was predicting this. Unless Lilia just puts it now. Then maybe, but what a start for this Griquas team. What games tomorrow and Sunday? I am hoping tomorrow to do the Pacific Nations Cup. 2 games, Fiji versus Tonga, as well as Japan versus Canada. And then from there, I do want to do a few games of the Women's World Cup. And then some NPC on Friday, followed by more Women's World Cup. Maybe a Currie Cup game too tomorrow, depending on what we kind of work out. Cheetahs 27 to the Griquas 42. We have got the I don't know what's faster, Hamish and Beard or the first try. Says Pads Blaze, definitely me. But nice run there from Zane Bester. That is a joke, by the way, that got cut out of that debate when Tony was going on about the 90 seconds. You can probably predict what the line was there. I predicted it. We make them tough in the Northern Cape, says Randomly Factual, and I told you, says Yuri. And also we have got there, hello Lilia, says Jimbo. And Cheetahs have their hands empty. So far not full, says Kevin. Yeah, it's been a dream start to this contest. But now the Griquas, they are leading 14-0 after only 6 minutes. But this is exactly what they did up against the Bulls. And later on in the game, the Bulls did start to take a bit more control. But it was too little too late. Score says Mohadin, so score 14 points to 0. You are seeing that correctly. 2 tries already from the Griquas after only 7 seconds. 7 minutes. 7 seconds would be very impressive. They are just showing the top 4 standings at the moment. The Cheetahs would find themselves in second. The Griquas would move to number 1. But no matter what, the Griquas and the Cheetahs, they will both want 4 tries apiece from this matchup, ready to throw this ball in, taking his time, was Jansi Fans Rensburg, and it's a knock-on from the Cheetahs, the last thing that they needed when they've been lacking possession and territory. The Griquas fired up. They've got that strong front row. Davids alongside Yanko Ice and also Dlamini in that number 3 jersey. It was a good contest in the air, managing to rip it away. We have got there, I told you, says Yuri. One moment, where is Yuri's one? That was the wrong stadium picture earlier on. Where have we got? Oh, there we go. The Griquas 45, Cheetahs 35. Is the prediction. And also, I do apologise, Adrian, for missing that one. Any upsets this weekend? I think that... Oh. Can I be honest? And this might backfire completely, right? But honestly, after their last game, yes, they were playing Brazil, but the South African women might actually give Italy a bit of a run for their money in that Women's World Cup game. And the thing is, if they do win that contest, they are through to the quarterfinals, and that would be absolutely massive for the Springbok women's side. But I just really enjoyed watching the physicality that the four-pack brought for that first match up against the Brazilians. Now, the question is, can they do that up against an Italian team? But honestly, it could be very intriguing to see that contest, and that is why we do want to cover it on the channel. Big scrum here, the Griquas hanging on nicely. I think Spain will give Ireland a hard time. That is probably a fair shout as well. The Spanish, the thing is, there was not a single moment throughout that 80 minutes that they ever looked like giving up against New Zealand. And yes, they didn't quite get the job done, but they did score that last-minute try, which of course filled them with a lot of joy. The whole stadium pretty much erupted when it happened. But yeah, I do think that compared to the first round of the Women's World Cup, we're going to get a couple closer games here. Did Rassi say who's playing? Says Mohadino. I assume you're talking about the lineup for up against New Zealand, and he hasn't announced it yet, but he has announced his squad. Only a couple changes compared to what we saw initially for the Wallabies legs of the Rugby Championship. We've seen Jasper Wiese added back in, but he's still suspended for the first test match at Eden Park. And then alongside him, we have seen the exclusion of Kurtley Arendse and Edward van der Merwe due to injuries, and coming in for them was Makazole Mapimpi. I think, though, they were the only changes. Griquas by 30 points, says Doc Viz. Prediction, hello, Hamish, absolutely massive, says Doc there. And also, they have to, or they're out, says Jimbo. Yeah, I think that the thing is, the reality of this World Cup will set in for a lot of teams this week. Some of them will thrive and really come to the occasion. Others will probably struggle and drop off a little bit, because some teams, the sad reality is some of those underdogs probably had their big game in the first round. Now, it doesn't get very easy for Samoa. You know, a team like that, they had to face the Aussies, and then they have to face England. So their easier game per se will be their last one, but by then they'll know that they're not going to be in the World Cup anymore, so then that kind of takes away that extra motivation. Hi everybody, says Bruce, welcome in, hope you're doing extremely well, and we have got good evening from Cat Lego. How many points can we expect? I would say a lot in this match. I'm thinking 60 points between the teams, and that's not just because the Griquas have scored twice already. If Boland win, can they be number one? They can be, but this result of this contest has to go a little bit in their favour. So they are sitting with that points differential of 23. So pretty much if the Griquas win with a bonus point, if Boland win without that bonus point, in fact, no, they would need the bonus point because of that points differential. But if we see the Cheetahs win this game with a bonus point, then Boland would have to beat the Sharks by more than, I would say, more than 40 or so. If the Cheetahs were going to get a bonus point, although if they only won by a couple points in this contest, then that would make it a little bit easier. Cheetahs to win by 3, says Johan. And we have got there Halle as the bomb. She is a phenomenal talent in that number 8 jersey. In fact, that whole loose forward trio for South Africa, I think, did deserve a lot of credit. The combination of Nadine Roos alongside Jansie van Rensburg. I actually see that Roos has moved to number 15 for the upcoming game. I think that was due to the injury in the number 15 jersey. So, yeah, that'll be intriguing to see what happens there. But the fact that she can just swap between fullback and halfback shows you how versatile of a player she is. She can actually play pretty much anywhere that she'd need to in that lineup. And now breaking away, Zane Bester, a little pass on the outside. It was forward. So they will go back for the initial forward pass, and the scrum now in favour of the Cheetahs, who have just struggled to get their hands on the ball throughout the early stages of this matchup. Currently sitting about 11 minutes in. And only had a few touches. We have got the Hi Bruce from Lilia. Hi Hamish, hope you've had a good week, says Chance. It is absolutely flown by, to be honest. Like, I swear it was Monday maybe a day and a half ago. And now we're already Friday. We have got there, Haley was a petrol attendant. She wasn't into rugby but netball. She was tricked into playing her first game. Well, she certainly found what she is extremely good at, because she was just running over the Brazilians for fun. I do look forward to seeing how the Italians go with that physicality, because I feel like Italy from the Six Nations have dealt with that a little bit more. But honestly, if South Africa play like they did up against the Brazilians, they will be a hard side to beat. Actually, a Saturday, Hamish says Beds Blaze. That is true. 3:15 a.m. here in New Zealand, and it's going to be a free kick here for the Griquas. What time is it by you? It's currently 3:16 now. And just tuned in, we was hanging outside, literally hanging from bars. But when we measured our height, we'd actually got shorter, says Bruce. Interesting. A little bit of science, I'm sure, behind that. Maybe the earth dragging you down and then squeezing you back up like you're a spring. Sorry to interrupt, Hamish. The Ashes series starts November 21st. Yeah, see, that's only a couple months away, or about 3 months away as well, isn't it? Like, this year's almost gone. And it's just going very quickly. It's almost Christmas. I keep saying it. I will have to get the Santa suit back out. Or maybe I won't, because it's not the best Santa suit. It looks like it was like $5, and I feel like it was probably about 10. But the beard, you just end up eating it the whole live stream from talking too much. It's a rough one. 15. In fact, I've got a Christmas tree that I can wear on my head. That will be much easier. It makes me look like an absolute idiot, but so does dressing like Santa. Now I'll go into the right-hand side, short side run from Abrahams, and he will score the third for the Griquas. They are one try away from their bonus point. The away fans are absolutely loving it. But Caleb Abrahams just giving away that free kick there for the Cheetahs, allowing the Griquas to have that chance. And they certainly made the most of it. Do any of you realise we are closer to 2050 than we are to 2000? That's true. It's kind of weird to think about, isn't it? What year, this is a question that, of course, is from a sleep-deprived brain, but what year do you think it will sound weird to say that it is? Like, I feel like everything up till 2100 will sound all right, and then what do you say? Do you say, like, 2100 as the date? Or, like, 2100? Like, what happens when it's, like, 2106? That's just a mouthful rather than, like, 2010. But the kick has gone over from George Whitehead, and that is now going to make the score 21 points to 0 in the early stages of this match. Only 15 minutes in. And my 4-try Griquas is looking like a slight understatement. You might have just meant in the first 20 minutes, perhaps, Jimbo. 2006. Yeah, like 20,106. Is that how they'll say it? Or 2106? I guess 2106 isn't awful. 2000 and... Yeah, no, I was trying to work out the syllables. We call it 2107. Or, sorry, is it aught or naught? And Cheetahs' joke says, Jules, the thing is, up till this stage, they've been going very good this season. That's what makes this so confusing. Look at these results. They beat the Golden Lions at home. They beat the Western Province at home. They beat the Pumas at home. They had that close game with the Sharks, which they snuck away. Nothing there should say 21-0 here. They haven't even made many changes across their starting lineups. The Griquas, they've had some pretty good wins too. They have beaten all those sides that I just mentioned, and also managed to beat Boland, which is something that the Cheetahs couldn't do in round 1 of the competition. That's my bank pin, says Pedza. And also we've got that, even my 5 tries looking off too. And still a third of the year left, mate, says David. Yeah, but it will be Christmas soon. Unfortunately, when the rugby season kicks in with internationals, like the November internationals are too close now. We're going to be into them before we know it. I'm changing my allegiance from Western Province to Boland. Says I Lollipop there. And Time Sure Flies Christmas obviously says Doc there. And are you going away for Christmas? I don't think I'll go away for Christmas, but I probably will go away for New Year's. Because that's what we did last year, me and George, as well as his family and also one of the other Kiwi lads. We all went away a few hours from here. All stayed in a big house and pretty much just didn't do much. We went golfing a few times and saw the sights around the area. That's going to be a knock-on from the Cheetahs. And their handling error at the moment is way too high. Marco Janssen, or Jansi van Rensburg, trying to argue that it went backwards. But there's no world that ball went anywhere near behind him. He's not too happy about it. We have got there pronounced O. Says a randomly factual. And also we've got the hi Andy sounds like fun. And Hamish, this looks like a very close match. That's why I took my handicap of 8.5 points for the Griquas, says Kevin. And I'll be 50 and 50. And Hamish, have you got Scottish origin in your family, surely? I think way back in the day, but my name isn't actually because of any Scottish heritage or anything like that, believe it or not. My mum pretty much said that the reason behind calling me Hamish was because I look like a Hamish. My sister, if she was a boy, she was going to be called Forrest, because that was a popular movie back in the day, old Forrest Gump. So if I was the older sibling in this scenario, I could have been called Forrest, in which case I would have to do a lot of running in my life, I'm sure. So I probably got the good end of the stick, because now I try and avoid running. Some of us won't make it to 2,106, so pronouncing it won't be a problem, says Johan. It's Naomi Hamish, who was two of the friends chatted a few hours ago. So that was Mark and Tony. So Tony is from Distracted Sports. That's his YouTube channel. Mark is from 2 Cents Rugby, which is his channel as well. And then they actually do a weekly podcast talking about all things rugby, or I think it's weekly. Anyway, but yeah, first time we've had them on a video that wasn't part of a live stream or anything like that. We have got the IB 50 and 50. And Kiwi Lads was good earlier on with 2 Cents Rugby, etc., says Bruce. I did lose my composure near the end, I'll be honest. I'm terrible under pressure, and you guys could probably see the more pressure that I felt, the more red my face turned. By the end of it, I was looking like a full-on tomato. But yeah, it was fun to do. It was something that was a little bit different. I'm glad that no one took it too seriously as well. So they also are YouTubers like you. Yep, exactly right. So Mark's one of the original New Zealand, or in fact, I think he is almost the original New Zealand rugby YouTuber from way back in the day. Oh, that's going to be an awkward bouncing ball, well controlled. Yeah, Mark was doing it a long time before me. He was back in the kind of the early Squidge days in the Gareth Mason kind of era of rugby. And then, just some of the younger ones like myself popped on a little bit later on. We have got their fun fact that the oldest human ever was 122. Jeez, that's hard work, isn't it? And have to watch that Hamish 2 Cents and Kiwi Lads, says Doc there. And we have got there, Lilia, share the joke, please, says Kevin. I think that was when what was that from? That was when I said about how I would have to do a lot of running if I was named Forrest. Which is probably true. Hamish, the All Blacks look certain tomorrow, says Kevin, or next week. They will be playing in 8 days' time. They do have a bye week. Although, to be fair, we could actually do some sort of preview tomorrow, maybe, if that's something you guys are keen on. I don't know whether or not to do it in the evening or do it, I could do something. I haven't actually thought about it, but now maybe that's a decent idea. Do some sort of, oh no, actually there's Bunnings EPC on though, and people might get annoyed if I overlap that. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm a granddad already. Grandson started school today, and it was a good show. I hope there's more to come, says Bruce. Now, a bit of a stoppage here, 21 minutes through in this contest. The Griquas are still leading 21-0. And strap the ankle. Good to go, mate, says Doc there. They're just saying about the good turnout at the Toyota Stadium, although so far the Cheetahs have not turned up for Sekaketi's 100th match in a Cheetahs kit. Territory at the moment, 56% in favour of the Cheetahs, but the one that is concerning is 32% possession at this point in time. It's just not quite enough throughout the early stages. Also, I'm not sure what their tackling numbers are, but just seems like the Griquas have gone through too easily in this match as well. Now, big scrum from the Cheetahs. This one holds strong and they don't end up giving away an advantage. Rassi will say maybe Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, I think he'll go relatively early, although there's also a chance that he looks at going later, seeing as they are in New Zealand. I do think it's normally the home matches that Rassi likes to go as early as he can, whereas away games, sometimes we see it on a Wednesday, which is still a lot earlier than most teams, but it should be exciting. It will come around way before we know it. Hi, mate. Hope you're doing well for a Friday, busy sporty weekend, says Regina. We're going to have all sorts of competitions coming up on the channel, a little bit of NPC, bit of Women's World Cup as well. The Pacific Nations Cup taking place, the only international rugby for the men's side of things happening this weekend. Another knock on from the Cheetahs. This time it's Clayton Blumekes, who has sadly let that one slip through the fingertips. And Hamish is the best rugby player of all time. Garage, or who is the best rugby player of all time? Gareth Edwards surely must be. He's right up there. And I do think that he often, in terms of like the greatest of all time list, does get not as acknowledged as he should. Like normally people look at someone like a Dan Carter or... I mean, there are a few current players who people even look at as potential GOATs of the game of rugby. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not that changes in the next 10 years or so in terms of who the top runners are. Hi, Hamish and Craig from St. Francis Bay, Eastern Cape. I'm back. Welcome back, Craig. You're doing extremely well. Currently, the Griquas starting this match with a hiss and a roar, but that's a knock-on from George Whitehead and a big fan there from the Cheetahs, number 14. Still managing to run it forward was a Kabindi. Pick and go from Kriya. Thought about the offload, and he might have knocked it on, but they'll go back for the penalty. Another fun fact, there is a jellyfish called Cheetahs dorni that is biologically immortal. So what does biologically immortal mean? Does that just mean that it will just live forever? Danny Craven says randomly factual for South Africa's GOAT. Offside number 15. In this case, that'll be Cameron Hofka. And the players voted Gareth the greatest of all time, even the magnificent All Blacks, and a number of box. Says Kevin, biologically immortal does not age. Okay. How long's its lifespan? Also, I've never looked at a jellyfish and gone, I think that jellyfish is like 10 years old or 20 years old. How does one know the signs of aging in a jellyfish? Griquas defending the line out now. As the Cheetahs sit 15 metres out from the line, nicely taken. This one's going sideways just a little bit. It's going to be the advantage. I remember back at school we went paddle boarding. And we weren't actually allowed in the water for a bit because they were worried that there were going to be jellyfish. But in the end, there weren't. Oh, that's a good rolling maul hold up there. And that will be going back for another penalty in favour of the Cheetahs. No limit to the lifespan for a biologically immortal species. And we have got the nasal here of a jellyfish is how you tell its age. And intercepted, busting through these tackles. Says Doc, yeah, it was a massive run from Prince Nkabindi, I believe it is, out on that right wing side. Little kick into touch from Clayton Blumekes. Again, we're going to get to see the line out. This is where the Griquas may start to show a bit of fatigue here, having to defend back to back to back, just out from their try line. Did I say Cheetahs or Griquas there? Because if I said Cheetahs, I meant Griquas, and if I said Griquas, I did mean it. Now, line out throw, nicely taken by the Cheetahs. Rolling maul, starting to shape up there. This one's going to be hard to stop as it is only a couple metres out of getting over Mako Jansi Fans. Rensburg scores it. And now the Cheetahs, they are back in this game. The Griquas, similar to what we saw in their game up against the Bulls, have had a fast start and a little bit of a slower finish in terms of the half. That is just very nicely done, going straight into the hands for the Cheetahs player. And then Jansi Fans Rensburg popping off the back. Sky Sports Action, Nathan says, David, anyone know how I can watch Currie Cup in the UK? Okay, so David hopefully has sent you in the right direction. Sorry for missing that one. My apologies. And strong upper ball carry. Sorry, Hamish. Where's the Kiwi girl, Ruth? I hope you're well. I think Ruth was here earlier, wasn't she? She was popping in and out. Where was Ruth's last comment? We'll find it. We'll find out what she said, see whether or not she said she was popping away. It was a little while ago. I haven't actually seen it yet, and I've been scrolling for a little while. I'm sure oh no, there she is. She said, Kevin Darling, I'm great. How you doing? That was the last one. But yeah, nicely done by the Cheetahs. That kick has missed away to the side. That does make the score 5 points to 21 after the 26.5 minutes. And thanks, just change channel now. They haven't been showing all the games unless I have been going insane. Says Nathan. See, that's a bit similar to what we had in New Zealand. I think it was 3 years ago or so. They were showing every match. Then the next year, they only showed one game around. And then the next year after that, they just sacked the whole competition. Didn't even check on Sky. Says Nathan. Lovely, she's a gem. Says Doc. Now, George Whitehead kicking this one off for the Griquas. Can they answer back after just conceding? They do still need one more try to get themselves that bonus point. Nicely taken under the high ball for the Cheetahs, but straight onto the ball. The Griquas all but getting that steal for Oosterhuizen. What time is your first game tomorrow? Says Mocha then. I believe first game tomorrow will be taking place South African time, 4:45 a.m. So that's a bit of a rough one, but it will be 2:45 p.m. New Zealand time. That is the match between Fiji and Tonga. So pretty much, when I look at it, probably about 23 and a half hours time, somewhere around there is when that one's going to be kicking off. No, that's a lie, sorry, about 12 hours time. And I hope you're well. I hope the Cheetahs win because my bet depends on them. Fingers crossed. What was your bet? Was it just for them to win, or do they have to win by like a certain margin? AJ, but Yanko Ice ready to throw this one in. The Griquas certainly got off to a great start in this match. Abrahams goes across the Whitehead, 22 metres out from the line at a big collision there for Gideon Funamurva. Now looking for a bit of a set rolling maul in the middle of the field for this Griquas side, sitting 10 metres out from the try line, pick and go. Just get him that little bit closer. The Cheetahs trying to get the steal with the breakdown. Lamini tackled again. Abrahams. Oh, okay, I heard the TMO talking to the referee there. I'm not sure whether or not this is going to become a penalty advantage. There it is. Advantage in favour of the Griquas. Sitting 10 metres out, Abrahams goes across the Whitehead, skip pass, finds the man out wide, Gershon Ware. What a step that was. Brilliant tackle, but I think he's still over the try line. Yeah, I need to leave now, but I'll leave you all with the last fun fact. We actually have collected T-Rex DNA. It was inside a femur, but it was broken open and wasn't fully mineralized on the inside. Well, there you go. That is a random fact. And they must win. They will come back second half, says AJ, and sometimes it's on rear butter, Nathan, says David, and no arms tackle, says Jimbo. Right, the on-field decision is try. Sideline stays out, possibly no try, so we're going to see the replay here. That was an absolutely brilliant tackle from Prince Nkabinde, and I think that's going to be fine. I think that is going to be completely fine. He slams the ball down. He does lose control of it after putting it down on the turf. But that is going to be the try now, and the Griquas have the bonus point. They are scoring a point a minute at the moment, almost in this contest. Gershon Ware, he is such a dangerous option out on that wing. And also, they know one. And is that a try? Surely not. It certainly is. So it is the fourth now of the match for the Griquas. This is a surprise for the books. I really expected the Cheetahs to win this game. I'll be honest, I thought they were going to win it too. I knew it would be high scoring. Oh, what a kick from Whitehead. Goes over from the sideline. Now makes the score 28 points to 5. But yeah, I thought 60 points in total, like I said, somewhere around there. But I did think that the Cheetahs would be the side that had the better of them. Short space, sorry. He outpaced his opponent there, says Jock. Yeah, he just got rid of Clayton Blomekis when he went down the wing. And like I said, great effort from Nkabinde, but by then he was pretty much through. Now kicked off. Nicely taken by Ulunk. Number 8 jersey for this Griquas side. Going back to the right. Looks like a player is stuck in there for now. Are they number one, says Mohaden. At the moment, the way that it sits, the Griquas would be number one in the overall standings. But of course, that can change heading forward. We could see them move around a little bit. But, yeah, we'll see what happens. If they keep on playing like this, though, they will be a hard side to get ahead of. Nah, it's not over now. Didn't expect this. Oh, sorry, nah, it's over now, says AJ there. Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting the Griquas to fire this quickly. Off topic, see the Box get a warm welcoming in Auckland. Yeah, it was quite cool to see that they were welcome with open arms. Like, people always talk about that rivalry, but I think it is, like, built off respect at the end of the day between the two teams. And, you know, as much as there is trash talk that can happen, I still think that deep down these two sides, they absolutely love playing each other. And the fans know that, and they can really get behind the match as well. Of course, after the game, could be a different story. There might be a few slightly annoyed people, depending on the result. But who knows? Maybe a draw. Wouldn't that be great? Probably not, but it would be nice. Another poor handling error. Yeah, there's just been a few too many, hasn't there? From this Cheetahs team. Just saw you were live. Didn't know there was rugby today, says Patrick. So yeah, we've got this Currie Cup match. Then tomorrow we've got the Pacific Nations Cup. Fiji versus Tonga, as well as Japan versus Canada is the other one that I do want to cover on the channel. That is going to be an advantage now for the Griquas at scrum time. Another wide cutout pass to Gershon Ware, who is causing all sorts of problems. He does a no-look pass on the inside. It was that sneaky that even his teammate didn't realise that it happened. There's the knock on, though, from Mako David. Video of 2 cents, and the funny guy was top-notch, says Tristan there. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do something like that in the future. I'm not too sure what game to do it based around, but yeah, I think as you guys learn, I'm terrible at arguing or debating, and I can't handle pressure. It's probably the gist of that one. Fiji Tonga should be a fun one. Way too early UK time, though, says David. But yeah, that Japan-Canada one won't be too bad, hopefully, for you guys in the UK. And that could be an intriguing game. Canada actually winning that contest up against the US after being expected to lose it. But yeah, I think that game between Japan and Canada will determine who gets to play where in the semi-finals. Cheetahs defence very static. Griquas finding holes too easily, says Jimbo. At what time the Fiji versus Tonga? They are kicking off at 3 p.m. New Zealand time. So, yeah, nice afternoon kickoff for us here in New Zealand. Then from there, next game's at 8 p.m. But, oh, that's a knock on there, I think, from the Griquas, or at least it looked like it, 4 a.m. UK time, says David. Yeah, it'll be intriguing, that Japan-Canada one. And also whether or not we'll try and squeeze anything. And like I said, we could do like a week prior, like the 7 days before preview of the New Zealand versus Springboks matchup. We have their collab with Inside Rugby with Rugby. Oh no, Inside Rugby with Mark from Tristan. I actually don't, like, I know of his channel, but I've never talked to him before, so I'd certainly have to try and work out how to contact him. But yeah, it was a concept that I think you could theoretically do. Like, it wouldn't have to be a debate either. You could just literally try and chuck a few people together and have a bit of a discussion about the game. But, yeah. It's always been the thing on the channel as well, that if any sort of opportunity for a collaboration happens, like, we always love to try and do it. Same with Vic and Vern, you know, we have them on the channel every once in a while after a Currie Cup game, or we've done it for the box before in terms of a lineup prediction. But yeah, it's one of those ones that I feel like there are still a lot of other channels that I'd like to be able to do something with, but it's just finding the right video to say, hey, do you want to, you know, spend your time doing this with us, if that makes sense. Oh, that's an awkward bouncing ball. Dylan Mart does nicely though. Be able to control it, kicks it off the outside of his boot, hasn't gone into touch as of yet, so the Cheetahs now with the counter-attacking chance here. Running it forward. was Franco Smith, and that might be the turnover and the breakdown. Yes, it is the Griquas managing to get the ball back. Half says AJ, do you think the Cheetahs can come back? I'll be honest, I probably... Oh, that... I'm not sure that was a fin. That looked more like a punch there, and he is smashed backwards there, Prince Nkabinde. But yeah, that almost looked like a closed fist fin, the way that he tried to bump off one of the Griquas players there. Over there, also, some great rugby, says Jimbo. And half says AJ. Yeah, I would say if Whitehead hadn't got all those kicks over, they would have had a much better chance. I'm not saying it's impossible for them, but it's certainly not easy with those extra points, because the fact that they also missed their first conversion of the game doesn't bode too well. But now firing it across, Clayton Blommakis goes to Smith. Looks like maybe a player has gone down in the back there. And it's going to be the penalty now in favour of the Cheetahs, who were 10 metres out from their own try line. So a very welcomed exit on offer there for the Cheetahs. It's for tackler not rolling away. Looks like at least one change. In fact, it might be about 4 changes about to take place here. Just before the halftime break, the commentators are saying certainly not yet, but it is exactly what they are going to do. Interesting. So they've decided to make the 4 switches. The front row haven't been doing the job. Two wants the fence before he got smashed, says Jimbo. Yeah, obviously the guy who smashed him took the fence to his teammates quite personally, because he just decided to grab those legs and just drive him backwards. So you see Mossy coming off. That is for ice. I wonder if you're the Cheetahs players here, the whole front row, are you frustrated with coming off after 37 minutes, or do you think it's part of some sort of plan? But yeah, this is an interesting choice from Franz Steyn and his coaching staff. Because I've pretty much just said, right, we're going to make the changes now and hope for the best. Now ready to throw this one in for the Cheetahs. I see taken. Now rolling maul starting to open up, although there is another knock on from the Cheetahs, so obviously those subs did not help right off the bat. And ball's still there for the Griquas, and they will go back. They're being scrummed to death, says Jimbo. Well, the thing is, the easiest way to avoid getting scrummed to death is to not drop the ball. And unfortunately, they have dropped the ball far too often throughout this first half. We're just seeing some of those fins. Like, that one looked like it was almost a right hook there from Prince Nkabinde. He just fed him a banana twice, said the commentator. It's a new one. But now, ready again for another scrum. Will the changes make the difference? Or will they once again find themselves in a little bit of strife here at scrum time? Both front rows stand up. Give the Cheetahs each a Red Bull so they can fly, says Kevin. 90 seconds remaining in this first half period. The Griquas, they have already got the bonus point on the board. They are sitting nicely. They'll be very happy with what they've been able to do throughout this first half period. There is still time for improvement, though, in terms of being able to increase that points differential. Slowly keep on building. 1 minute left. And even if you are the Cheetahs and you lose this game, you need the bonus point just to keep you in top kind of contention. They want to be in that top 2 area because that means you get the home semi-final. Scrum has gone down again for the Cheetahs, but that time not penalty advantage against them. Sitting 40 metres out from the line, short ball to the right-hand side. Now right again. Take and run from Yanko Ice. Tony's intro at the start. His deep Kiwi accent for 50 seconds, and it sounded like you need a whiskey after 50 seconds. Good contents, though, says Doc. It was a long intro, but he did spend, I would say, a good 10 minutes or so before we filmed. Oh, George Whitehead running through the gap again. Passes on the outside to Gershon Ware. I think he might have hurt himself there, the way that he kind of stutter step. They're going for the pick and go, but they will once again be 1 metre short, the Griquas. George Whitehead passes across. It looked like they for certain should have scored. Whose ball at the moment it is in the hands of the Griquas. They are only sitting 3 minutes out from the line. Whitehead with the skip pass out wide. Hufka scores. And they will get the try right on the halftime break. The Griquas have another one. 33-5 at the moment, the way that it sits. This has been an insane half for this Griquas side. We will add that halftime on the screen. There we go. And subs on, no change. There's Jimbo. I think they pre-meditated or maybe were a bit too quick to get those subs on the field because, it wasn't going to make the huge difference, I don't think, in terms of those scrums just for now. Cheetahs must pull up their socks in the second half if they have any chance of winning, says Mornay. Absolutely distracted sports. Give him a bottle of whiskey, says Doc. But yeah, he was writing it down. He was doing it all just before we ended up filming. His camera had a few technical difficulties for a start. He actually started upside down. And it got to the point how in post I was going to have to flip him the right way up. But luckily his camera decided to work. Those changes worked well. They'd be very happy, says Badza. And the kick, says Mohadeen. And there too, the kick. One moment, we'll go like that. And like that, George Whitehead. I did actually miss it at the time, so we'll reverse a little bit to see. He's right on the sideline and just missed away to the right-hand side. So the score at halftime in this contest now sitting 33 points to the 5. And while Griquas, says Ruth there, and premature changes by the Cheetahs, I think they just panicked a little bit. And, maybe in the second half it might help a little bit, but this Griquas forward pack are just dominating at the moment, which is something, like I said, I don't think many people were actually expecting. Imagine how many tries so far, Hamish. We've had 6 so far in this contest. Nearly 49, says Mohadeen. And do New Zealand Rugby show All Blacks games for free. Our IPTV is not working so well where I am, says Tristan. So I think they show them on Prime about maybe an hour or two delayed. But they do have ads as well. Or it might even be the next day replay that they have it. But finding live sport for free when it comes to rugby is actually pretty difficult, unfortunately. So tell me, Hamish, what is the atmosphere in New Zealand about next Saturday's fixture? I know there's a lot of people excited. Maybe it's just because I'm from a small town, but I haven't heard too much of it outside of the YouTube side of things. But I do also think that's because this weekend there isn't the game. I think that Monday next week is when everyone starts to get that little bit nervous. And yeah, we mentioned about it on that video with Mark and Tony. I just hope it's a good game. And, it lives up to the expectations because the thing is, this is being built as the biggest test match of the year. So if it's not a good game, it's going to be one that the most eyes are on. And if it doesn't deliver, that would be a shame. So I hope it's a really good game. I hope it's close. I hope it's filled with passion, physicality, and excitement and all sorts of little moments that make test match rugby so great. But, yeah, I'll hopefully be able to be relatively stress-free throughout the week. Because at the end of the day, I do like both of the teams, so it should be nice and easy to be able to call it. Absolutely fabulous first half. Second, Yogo says a Doc there, and I says Craig again. And we have got the exactly. I don't see the logic behind it. Says Lilia B. And it makes no sense. Lilia players needed half time. Says Jimbo. Yeah. They could have just, theoretically, right? They took them off with 3 minutes to go in the half. What was that going to do? Maybe they got one scrum. They flattened out in it. They didn't get penalised, I guess, but they still ended up conceding about a minute later. Who do you think the Springboks will win? Or do you think the Springboks will win next Saturday? You will have to wait and see my preview of that game. I think for now, though, we're in that scenario where we have to see who's selected before any sort of prediction can come through. We don't even know if the All Blacks have a halfback who's got more than 62 minutes for this year so far. Over the last 2 rounds, show me anything. Cheetahs comeback could be on the cards. Says, I have no clue. And also, Mate Razor deliberately lost to Argentina. Just saying. Says Doc. I don't know if he deliberately lost. I'd say that the players certainly looked like they were trying to lose from some of the performances that we saw. Fun fact, the last time the Springboks won at Eden Park was in 1937. That's a very long time. Says Mornay Lagrange. It certainly is a long time. But, you know, it's a tricky one. It is. Because I could see arguments for both of the sides winning at Eden Park. The All Blacks have the history in their favour. And, you know, they do very well at Eden Park. They were beaten by Argentina, but normally their comeback game is that little bit stronger. Their selection has to be on point too. Whereas for South Africa, they are the double world champs. You know, there is a reason that they got to lift that trophy, and that is because they were close in many games, but they were always victorious in those close fixtures. So they know how to win. They'll have that stability of Pollard, you'd assume, unless something drastic happens and there's some sort of injury along the way. But you just feel like there's plenty of stories and plenty of scenarios heading into this match. That's why it's going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, a really good one. The other 11 players couldn't react to the subs. They're tired, says Jimbo. And Cheetahs were pre-match faves, so I'd expect a fight back here, says David. Could be a draw. Then who will be number one, says Mohadin. If they draw, I think everyone gets the same points, don't they? Or maybe South Africa could get a couple extra. In fact, while we're at halftime, I can actually let you know. One moment. We'll go like this and like that. Right, so if it was a draw between the two sides, it's just now loading. Very slowly, I might add. Very slowly, still going. We have got there as well. Hi everyone, just tuned in. Well, what a thrashing so far, says Sakabuli. You're certainly far from the half that we expected for this one. I think last year the South Africa versus Ireland games were overhyped and didn't live up to expectation. Close games, but not the best quality, says Tristan. And that's the thing, some of the best, it sounds weird to say, right? But some of the best test matches sometimes have a lot of ugly moments. And it just seems to be what happens. So if it was a draw, South Africa would actually go to number one in the world because they would gain plus 0.37. And that would put them 0.03 above New Zealand in the rankings. If New Zealand were to win it, they would gain 0.63. If South Africa were to win it, they would gain 1.37. And then New Zealand would drop to third behind Ireland. If South Africa were going to win it by 16 plus, they would gain a full 2.06 points and give them a nice buffer over the Irish in second. And then if New Zealand were going to win it by over 16 points or more, it would mean that South Africa drop into number 3. So pretty much whoever wins will be number 1. If New Zealand lose, they will go down to 3. If South Africa lose, they will... Oh no, so whoever loses goes down to number 3 by the looks of that. That just shows you how close the rankings are at the moment, if that's the case. Is that correct? Maybe. But don't quote me on it. We'll have to do some more maths in the future. Andre Pollard should start at Eden Park. I will be shocked if Pollard is not a 10. The thing is, I could also see Rassi, though, going with Lebok as the starting 10 and then having Pollard off the bench for the stability. But I do think that Pollard is the smart option to have out there on the field. Our rankings are there to give you an idea where you stand. We really put too much weight on it, says G. Yeah, I do think that the significance of it, like week to week, it's going to change. But the biggest thing about it is that World Cup draw. Like, everyone's looking at it as where will they finish heading into that. Of course, top 6 has to be on the cards for all these sides, and I believe it will be. The interesting question is who will be in that top 6. Will it be Australia or Argentina? Because they have a couple big matches coming up in the Rugby Championship. And I believe whoever wins those 2 games, if someone does win both, secures themselves that better Rugby World Cup rankings draw. And that's the important thing for the sides. You come in as a first qualifier rather than a second. But someone's going to have a tough opposition with either Aussie or Argentina in their group. Everyone is so hyped about the New Zealand versus South Africa game that we tend to forget about Australia versus Argentina, which should also be a great game. Says Johan there. Yeah, I think that game should hopefully be picking up from where both sides left off. Like, don't get me wrong, Australia will be disappointed to lose that second match, but they didn't play badly at times throughout that 80 minutes. World Cup is the only thing affected by rankings, otherwise it's just form guide, pretty much, yeah. And, depending on who's playing who, some sides just don't get the best of the rankings in terms of the amount that they can go up and down. Hi, Jimbo, says Sakabula. And busy is good. Happy to see you here. Great, thanks. Says earlier to Sakabula there as well. And we have got their Springbok struggle to put Wallabies away in the second match, says Doc. That is true. New Zealand did also lose to Argentina. So, it's the question of, would you rather have come off a loss heading into the Eden Park Test match, or would you rather have a win? And I do think for South Africa, having that win, they'll feel pretty good about making their way into it. Marnie mustn't be last 20 minutes. Polo must come off the bench. Yeah, see, that's the tricky part, isn't it? In terms of, Sasha could come off the bench, but he also hasn't been the best off the kicking tee as of late. In fact, his accuracy off the tee for the Stormers at times, I believe it was actually, it was actually in July internationals. His accuracy off the tee, he did have an injury, but it was lower than Marnie Libbox. We have got there what TV channel was broadcasting this game. I believe it's on 201 and 211 on DSTV. Let Cup going to be great as well, says Sakabula. I hope so. Hope it does end up being a really good one. And the thing is, right, once again, don't quote me on this and be sure not to bring it up, but it would be great to see Australia win the first, or at least draw the first. In fact, I would take a draw for the first so that the second match is the decider. I miss the days of 3 test matches, and I feel like Australia are almost getting strong enough that we could see the return of the trio, although, of course, that's not really allowed because they want it to just be 2, and that affects how many games the teams are playing and whatnot. But, I'd like to see a 3-match series. I feel like Australia close enough that it'd be thoroughly entertaining. All Blacks under a lot of pressure now. I must be careful for that backlash from the ABs, says Sakabola. Yeah, I think that South Africa also have a fair amount of pressure on them too. When you're met with, the first thing that people say is you're going up against a 50 unbeaten streak at a location. And this is a side that are the double world champions. So, I think that the pressure is going to, in some cases, hurt certain players. And we will see players crumble in that Eden Park Test match. But there will also be the superstars, the ones who stand up, who manage to put that pressure aside or use that pressure and turn it into something great. But, yeah, it's going to be a good one, I hope. Once again, fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed that you can cross. She is very happy in the stands at the moment, waving to the camera. Those boys have their beverages and they are ready to go for the second half. Both sides have made their way out of the tunnel. Neither firing well right now. Eden Park might be just meh. True. I actually do think that even if both sides were in their best form, though, there is a chance that it could have been meh as well, just because both sides may play to not lose rather than play to win. There is a chance that we see that. Both sides go into their shell a little bit. Or we'll just see them go all out firing. Although I don't think that will happen for South Africa, because when they started throwing that ball around up against Australia, that's when they lost that first test match. So they'll be aware of what they need to do and how they need to play the game. The All Blacks have been really struggling with the aerial battle, which is one of the topics, of course, that we talked about in that video. But, Cheslin Colby, he'll be a handful no matter where he plays in the world. That one's kicked off too long from Franco Smith. So the worst possible start to the second half for the Cheetahs, who aren't down by 28 points, has just happened, as it will be the scrum on the halfway line for the Griquas. The only benefit is they're going to get to test out these players that they decided to bring on. In fact, they've made 2 or 3 more changes at halftime. In fact, I think they've changed their whole team. In terms of the guys on the bench, we see Ria taken off. Clayton Blomekes, he's been taken off too. We have there, g'day Hamish. I'm predicting a draw at Eden Park, says Darren. I actually would love to see that. And I do think that a draw at Eden Park builds even more suspense for not just the World Cup, but also for that New Zealand versus South Africa tour. that is taking place next week. The front row of the Cheetahs, the replacement front row, going down and penalised here by the referee. It happened between Ireland and the Box at the World Cup, 13-8. Terribly poor game, both sides, after all the hype, says Jimbo. Yeah, and sometimes, it's the same in pretty much everything in terms of sport. Hamzat Chimaev versus Griquas du Plessis. That was hyped up to be one of the best fights of the year, if not the biggest fight of the year so far. And it was extremely one-sided and just, I guess, didn't really live up to that expectation. Now, of course, that's a little bit different than a low-scoring, close game of rugby. But, it happens all the time in the UFC. It happens in football when the games get hyped up and then you have a 0-0 draw or something like that. Sadly, it can happen. And maybe Eden Park could be where we see it happen. The All Blacks haven't played there in a very long time, though, so perhaps that could help them out now, going off to the right-hand side. I know that actually, they played there last year, but haven't played up against the Box at Eden Park since about 2012? Surely not that long, right? When was the last time that they played? 2015, maybe? Up against the Box. That's a nice penalty won by the Cheetahs. It'll be the replacement 18. Does end up winning it. That is Dos Reis. And 20 minutes of Springbok, says Doc. And good point, Jimbo. See a Sakabola there as well. Looks like the Cheetahs are going to kick this one towards the touchline. But they need a big half here. 2013 was the last time that they did play. So, 12 years is a long time. And since 12 years ago, we have seen the Springboks get themselves 2 World Cups in that time. And both of them have been on away soil. How's it going? Or who's it going to be in the second half, says Ruth? I'll be honest, I think the Griquas have still got at least one more in them. But the Cheetahs should have at least a few as well. We have there Argentina chance of winning both games versus the Box. Changes everything, says Doc. Yeah, although, is that second Argentina-South Africa game not in Argentina? Is that the gist of that one? Because that hurts Argentina big time, I would say, if that's the case. I'll just have a very quick look just in the breakdown. The Cheetahs are sitting 40 metres out from their line. Yeah, it's at Twickenham. See, Argentina would have to be getting paid some really good money to play that game away from home. Because, that could have been their big advantage. They literally bet the Box in Argentina last year. So, money obviously talks, or I don't know the reasoning behind why they can't play it in Argentina, but, it just means that Australia and New Zealand have to win every other game if they want a chance of winning the Rugby Championship. I've just sold a Nirvana t-shirt, to be friend, or to a friend, she's happy. And now big tap and go there from the Cheetahs, looking for the offload. It will be the number 21 now. And we have got there, like the new profile pic, Lilia. Says Sakabulla there. And also, yes, Hamish, absolutely, says Doc. Oh, a little bit of a steal attempt there from the Griquas, but it will be another penalty advantage favour of this Cheetah side. They are 22 metres up the line. Another offload to now. Another offload up to Dos Reis. They're trying to keep this one alive. Trying to stay in this match as well. 45 minutes through. Smith, back line here, starting to open up Mjima. Another penalty advantage. Yellow card could change this game as well, I should mention. There is that little bit of a factor to be able to deal with for the Griquas. Out, pick and go now, sells the dummy, offloads now, and it's another knock on from the Cheetah, so they will go back for the initial penalty. I think the Cheetahs, once again, they have to kick this one towards the corner. They don't really have too many other options from here, other than to be aggressive. Do most of the Argentinian players play in Europe? Says Jimbo. Quite a few are in the French top 14, to be fair. So do you think that's the reason behind it, so that they have a shorter flight to get back to France? So I know that people aren't happy about the Will Skelton situation. Now he's now away for the Wallabies in the rest of the Rugby Championship due to his commitments to his French team. But yeah, I actually have no idea why they're playing at Twickenham in terms of like whether or not it was some sort of big deal that they wanted to have, or whether it's to do with the players and their location so that they can go straight back to the top 14. Big rolling maul here for the Cheetahs, only a couple metres out from the line. That ball is missing in the middle at the moment. It looks like it's gone down, very well defended by the Griquas there. I can't see Argentina beating the Springboks twice. You have to remember Argentina is going to play the Springboks in London, not Buenos Aires, says Mornay, which is what we've pretty much been saying in terms of it's just weird that they would give away their home advantage, but I don't think they're going to win in South Africa. I know that sounds harsh, and Argentina, they are a good side, but it's going to be tough. We have got the end of September. Players back to clubs by then, says Jimbo. Yeah, so are they even going to have all their main guys for Argentina? They might have to put together a really kind of makeshift team, which is a little bit of a concern. Right, they are talking to the Griquas head coach at the moment. Now we have got their razor, will have to be sharp, says Roof. Yeah, so they're just saying pretty much the Griquas are saying that they've got the advantage because they have not made any changes at this point in time, or at least not many at all. A good point, Mornay, says G. But now, back to the scrum again. This is where the Cheetahs have had a real struggle. And I do think that is the way that it may continue. They are 5 metres out from their own line here, the Griquas. This will be a good time for the Cheetahs to be able to get a steal of some sort. But that can, of course, never be guaranteed in the scrum. Free kick, though, would be absolutely massive. Definitely with the position on the field. It is a big shove again. Oh, that looked a little bit high on the Griquas player. Sitting 5 metres out. In fact, less than that. Hamish, who's your man of the match so far? Clinical finishing. Griquas, an accurate fly half kicking. Yeah, so you'd have to say, at this point, I'd either say Gershon Weir. George Whitehead for his kicking alone has been very strong. And then Zane Best had a really good start to this game. But yeah, I'd probably go Gershon Weir, or I'd go with George Whitehead. But then the thing is, George Whitehead normally is accurate off the tee. So can you give it to him just for that reason? He did also score a try, though. So, you know, that does help, I would think. Oh, hesitant there from the Cheetahs. They didn't end up throwing it in. So the free kick goes the way of the Griquas. The miscommunication for Vernon Polo. And feta cheese and bacon with garlic panini for supper. And they might beat Australia twice. The test against Springboks, I took a lot out of Australia. Says Mornay Lagrange. We've got the idea, says Jimbo. Now the big kick downfield. The Cheetahs, side of their own 22, have to look to clear it. And Jajima get into touch, but that is just buying time at the moment before the Griquas get another attack going. Cheetahs would need 3 more tries throughout the next 30 minutes to be able to get themselves a bonus point here. That's very hard to do. Definitely when they've already made their switches. You know, there are going to be some very tired Cheetahs players by the end of this game. The fatigue start to set in. But Yanko Ice, we're going to throw this one in for the Griquas. Well taken. Cheetahs tried to jump at the front, but they went to the middle. Now there is a new advantage here. And there's going to be for side entry coming in from the Cheetahs. Stepping Zwilendaba. 38 metres from the line. It can still fall back on that 3-pointer if they need it. Lamini. It can go again from the big tight head prop. Trying to get the steal was nicely done. They will go back now for the original penalty against Sikakete for the side entry. This is not a milestone match that he will want to remember one bit whatsoever. I can't believe this game's almost over. Only 30 minutes left in this match. It feels like it's absolutely flying by, but I do think that's because the Griquas were so dominant in the first half, and because they were scoring tries as well, I feel like that also did make it feel like the clock was going a lot faster, and Cheetahs being strangled. Says Ruth there, and also come on people, hit that like button please, and subscribe to Kiwi Lads Awesome Commentary. Says Ruth. Last 10 penalties conceded have been pretty 50-50, in fact 5 and 5. Oh, we have there, Ruth, pleased to spot you. You're looking lovely as ever. That's what Ruth looks like. She's just an R with a purple background, but I'm sure she is looking lovely, as you see, Kevin. Now 10 metres out from the line. Oh, there's almost a knee to the head of his own player on the ground there for the Griquas. Now, off to the left-hand side. Abrahams trying to get this thing moving here for the Griquas, going off to the right-hand side. Oh, nice little quick stepping from Gershon Weir. On his road to a hat-trick if he keeps on playing like this. Yanko Ice again. Now Abraham's short ball. It was a huge shot coming in, and that will be the knock-on from the Griquas. Roof, please throw the bacon away. Says Kevin, I think Australia is going to lose against Argentina tomorrow with a 56-0. They do play next weekend rather than this weekend, but that would be quite the statement win for Argentina if they got that scoreline in Australia. And rubber ankles on that 11, says Jimbo. And I had to meet my friend Louise for coffee, missed some of the game. Says Ruth, well, hopefully you did enjoy your coffee. I was discussing coffee with someone last week, I believe. I felt like I was already well and truly hyper enough without it. Oh. They are just waving. Victor Sikakete's wife in the stands. She will not be too happy with the performance, but she is happy with the occasion for her husband. Replace the bacon with macon, like as in mac and cheese. And unbelievable. Oh no, that was from Ruth. I already read that one too. 52 minutes through here. 33-5 still the score. This game's hit a little bit of a grinding halt while we wait to see whether or not the Cheetahs have got a couple more tries in them, or whether the Griquas will continue to run away with this game. Cheetah scrum only sitting 10 metres out from their own try line. A bit of an early push there, and they're expecting the free kick, but the ref says, nope, we're going to do it again. Oh, doesn't look like one of the Cheetahs players is doing too well here. That is Cameron Dawson. Macon is kosher, Hamish, better than bacon. So what's kosher? So I don't know what that is either. We'll get there. Thanks, Kevin. Maybe tomorrow I'll put my photo on just for fun. Bacon was the only thing I had. I'll give my cats the bacon. Says Ruth. Commentators are saying it's been one of the best Carling Currie Cups they have seen in a very long time. It has been competitive from start to finish. It just seems like at this current point in time, any side, except for the bottom about 3, Macon is discussing kosher as a Jewish food. Says Kevin there. And kosher, Macon, and matzahs. Says Ruth. See, I haven't heard of any of these things. But I'm quite uncultured when it comes to food, as some people would know. I'm quite boring. But now, they are just showing all of the crowd. It's actually a really good turnout for this match. It's been far from the type of game that they have wanted to see, but now it's going to be, oh, that was a high tackle. They will go back for the penalty. It's one way to try and get rid of Prince Nkabinde. Macon is halal, no pork. Says Lilia B there. Now this one's going to be kicked into touch. Oh, it's not from the Cheetahs. That is a massive mistake. And now the Griquas will look to send this ball back downfield towards the 22. Nicely taken by the youngster. Michael Annis going off to the left. It's a good step. No look pass. This might start to open up a little bit here for Daniel Martins. Another offload. So just trying their best to keep it alive with Gideon van der Merwe. Now off Sikaketi. Offloads it there in his 100th game. Another offload. Big contact on Yandre Nell. We have got there no halal but kosher. It's halal too. Says Lilia. What's the difference between halal and kosher? I hope someone will help us out. I have no idea. But now another step. Oh, big landing on Njajima. Off to the left again. Oh, ball was loose. I think they were trying to ask for the penalty there. The Cheetahs, another big collision. Seems like maybe these guys off the bench have brought a little bit more physicality with them in the breakdowns. Perhaps that was something that they were told. We have there halal follows the food of a 53-year-old prophet. All right. And kosher is for the Jews and halal is for the Muslims, FYI. Says I lollipop. And we have got there definitely says Jimbo in there. Now another pick and go. Big collision. 22 metres out from the line. Off to the right-hand side. Still moving forward. That time it was ace. Okay, they're saying there was a clear release, so they will keep going, but now it's the penalty for the Griquas. I'm hungry, I want to eat, says Ruth there as well. .24 minutes remaining. George Whitehead, he will be able to put this one towards the touchline. And we have got there, they've been racist to the pigs. Pick on the sheeps, mate. Says Doc, and 30 metres gain, smashing it up the middle. New Cheetahs. Says Jimbo in there as well. Yeah, I think that the Cheetahs are starting to get onto it. And I'm making a banging chicken fried rice. That is something that I can get behind. I do love myself a fried rice indeed. But we can also all remember, of course, this is a rugby live stream, isn't it? Ruth can eat whatever she wants. And we can't put every single person of a religion or anything like that all into the same group. It would be ignorant to do so. But once again, rugby stream, you know, I'm definitely not schooled up on everything. So, yeah, we'll just change the subject, I think. Now rolling maul here. Looks all right here for the Griquas, sitting 22 minutes remaining on the clock. Oh, and that ball, they were told to use it. They took too long, and it actually came out right at the time. We have there beef fried rice, says Ruth, in there as well. See, a combination fried rice does go all right, to be fair. But it is going to be the scrum for the Cheetahs. Still looking for some sort of bonus point. 3 tries in a row here. Converted would actually put them... Would that be just enough? 3 converted tries? Maybe. Any chance the Cheetahs get something out of this? They'll have to dig deep. You know, 22 minutes, not a lot of time. They can get, 20... Yeah, no, that would work. So 3 converted tries from here in the next 22 minutes would give the Cheetahs 2 bonus points from this game. And so far, who's your standout player of the Rugby Championship? I'll pick Eben Etzebeth. I think that Etzebeth's been very solid. I also do think that... See, I kind of want to go Batista Delgui as another guy to probably... He'd been nowhere near a lot of people's top 10 lists, but he's been really strong throughout the Rugby Championship in terms of what he's been able to do under that high ball. Well, Greek was nice. Says Shantz in there. And the Cheetahs are getting some bruises out of this. Says I Lollipop. And Cheetahs will have to hurry up, says Sakabula. They certainly will, although they have just won themselves the penalty. And Borland getting top of the table by the end of the weekend, says I Lollipop. As long as the Sharks don't all of a sudden really kind of show up, because they have had a few rough games along the way, but who knows, maybe, looking at the table, they got themselves their first win up against the Western Province last week. And they start a bit of a winning streak by the end. Oh, another drop ball there for the Cheetahs. They'll get humiliation. They don't get more points, says Bruce. Yeah, they do. We have got their Vietnamese bakery pork rolls with crackles, yummy me. Says Doc, now nice spin there for the Cheetahs. Just couldn't quite get the offload away. Now going off to the right-hand side. Little pop pass up. Nicely taken by Michael Lanius, but another steal there in the breakdown from the Griquas. Trying to get a steal again for the Cheetahs. And the ref says play on. Another step. And as you're looking at absolutely fantastic game, what games are we having tomorrow? So we have got Fiji versus Tonga alongside Japan versus Canada. And then also some Women's World Cup games. Oh, what a take there. Oh, no, he's dropped it. And I think he stayed in the field of play. No, his foot was just on the line, Dylan Mart. Okay, he doesn't think that he actually put that one out, and I actually might agree with him there. He's looking at the touch, Judge. And Super Pick, or Super Brew Pick. We have got there Creamy Hot Gravy, just covered your roast. Like the Plague of Destruction, says Doc there. And also that the Cheetahs have to hurry up. And we have got there No Lilia Griquas dug in. And Chicken Chow Mein, says Roof there as well. So we see the ball lost by Dylan Mart. He wanted to take the mark, but did end up dropping it, going to the front. That is an awful line out for the Cheetahs. Polo's given that about half as much power as he should have. They threw a random guy up at the wrong time, and now, again, the Griquas will be able to clear their lines. Vernon Polo. Yeah, that is far from perfect. It didn't even hit the Griquas player's leg. It went through the legs of, I want to say that was JD Schickling by the looks of him, but I don't think it was. Looked very similar to a JD Schickling kind of build. Now line out throw this time for Polo. It's worked out, although it's gone over the top again. It's going to be stolen once more. Now, ball is available for Abrahams, and we'll go back into the pocket. We have got the apologies if you've already answered this. Will you be covering the Box Women's game? Hamish says, chance. I am planning to. There is the New Zealand-Japan game first. Oh, nice break of the line here for the Cheetahs. This is one of their best chances of the half to be able to score, but another knock on does happen, and now it's going to be stolen. Gershon Ware. No one is going to catch him. In fact, no, my apologies. Vernon and Polo would have, but he will run it in. Gershon Ware to score the try. He lost 3 line out. Something's off with these signals, says Jimbo. But yeah, I am going to be doing the first half of New Zealand versus Japan and then following it up with South Africa versus Italy, because I do feel like by halftime, New Zealand will probably have a decent lead. And then alongside that, I just think that South Africa-Italy game, for the importance, those two sides, it is a playoff game. Enjoying the podcast with the 2 cents, guys. Says Darren, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do something again in the near future. And we have got there, thank you once again, Hamish. Says Kevin, no worries at all. And we have got there, Hamish always looks handsome, Ruth. He has to look good for the people he's chatting with. Says Mornay, and 30 plus prediction looks good. Says Doc, yeah, it's looking very strong at the moment. So just trying to use up as many seconds as he can off the clock. So we now move to 64. I haven't actually updated the time in quite some time, but that kick will go over. And it is going to make the score now 40 points to 5. So the chance for the Cheetahs now is completely gone, unless, once again, they can score 3 tries to get the 1 bonus point. But it is going to be tough to do. Are you doing all the Currie Cup games tomorrow? I think tomorrow we are actually going to do the Women's World Cup games, believe it or not. But I don't know. I feel like for these group stage fixtures, I was looking at something like maybe Fiji versus Scotland, a game that could have a little bit of intrigue about it. And then also just giving Currie Cup updates throughout it, seeing as there's 3 back-to-back-to-back. It's been a terrible last few weekends. Not a good season for my boys, says Sakabula. So tell me, Hamish, what kind of sweater are you wearing? Says Mornay. Oh, a little bit of push and shove there between a couple players. It's just a basic hoodie, really. It's actually one of the cheapest ones that I own. I got it from Kmart, I think. It's either Kmart or the Warehouse, but, you know, it's got Everlast on it, and I always say I'm testing it to see whether or not it's false advertising. Now, another step there, Vernon Polo, 22 metres out from the line 11 years ago. I heard the Cheetahs doing line-out calls in the garden of the hotel. I stayed in, went down and got pictures with Willie LaRue, Cornell Hendricks, and Adrian Strauss, legends. Says Tristan there. And it is actually pretty awesome when you hear people's kind of rugby stories about like players that they've met or what got them into the game. All nice quick hands here from the Cheetahs. Can they get slightly back into this contest with a try of their own? It just looks rushed, but it's going to go close. No, into touch for Prince Nkabinde, and a little bit of face-to-face action there. I couldn't watch last weekend, but heard they had a coach playing with the Bulls. Oh, you know, a player's been dropped here. Prince Nkabinde, or Nkabinde, I should say, I think ended up knocking Dylan Mart down, who got in his face. Mart's not happy. He's had his jersey ripped, and now he is retreating. There's still push and shove going on. They're trying to control the Cheetahs winger. I think that we're going to see him go to the bin here. And great defence, Griquas, says Jimbo. I seen you in a Puma sweater recently, says Morna. Yeah, it would have been the red one, I believe. Yeah, the shirt has been ripped almost off him, and there's still a bit of push and shove between these two sides. One of the Griquas players just trying to control everyone. And jersey's ripped out there, says Doc. Right, he needs a new jersey. I think he might be going to the bin here. Are we over there, True Lilia? Bully's bad. Sharkies are worse. Now we have got there. Let's focus on the box. No hope for us in the Currie Cup, says Sakabola. Okay, I think they are just going to be calling a couple players over here. Rugby is about controlling your emotions, says I Lollipop. Yeah, I don't think there was much control from either side in that scenario. Right. So, oh, okay. Blue 20 will be penalised. The next person who starts anything will go to the bin. There's the call there from the referee. Actually, the best commentary ever. See y'all soon and enjoy. Thanks, Amish, says Ruth. So, yeah, well, I'm sure we will see you at some stage throughout the weekend. Yeah, so a bit of wrestling there. And then Marco DeVitt was the guy who came in to try and break it up a little bit. Dylan Mart was on the ground. He didn't really know what had happened. These two teams really don't like each other, says Mornay. Well, the Cheetahs, they'll be frustrated. At the end of the day, you know, you're in front of your home crowd and you're down by 35 points in a game that you came in as favourites. It's a bit similar to what we saw for the Bulls earlier on with the Pumas at home. Nah, says Yako. And there as well, but that one's going to be kicked into touch. The Cheetahs, they are 5 metres out from the line. And Cheetahs getting on. Yeah, they've had a rough game. They just haven't been able to catch the ball in the important moments. We see their cheerleaders are just walking around the ground. They're not even really shaking the pom-poms. They're more so just kind of... They're not happy about the performance that they've seen from their side. And just like a shark bite, Lilia, says Jimbo, but that is going to be another penalty. Clear early drive. Okay, they've just said there that the next one will be considered as a cynical play and will be a yellow card. I see you soon. Take care, says Lilia. And there as well. Now 14 minutes left. The Cheetahs need 3 tries if they want any sort of point from this game, but this has destroyed their points differential at this point, so they need a big moment. One play that just gets them back on the right track, and this could be coming here because there is another penalty and a double blow of the whistle. This sounds like it might be yellow card territory here for the Griquas. Number 17, that'll be Leon Lyons. He does make his way from the field. Hello, says Christo. Welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. And by all, and thanks once again, Amish. Says Kevin, and it's been a good Currie Cup for the smaller unions. Griquas land has always been there since the beginning, and Boland have effectively been a feeding tank for the Western Province. Happy for these two and the Pumas. Yeah, they've been thoroughly impressive throughout this competition, and Boland's story is just incredible. The fact that they were the team that were promoted. The Griffins last year didn't win a single game. Boland within 1 week had 1 win at home. And then from there, even winning away from home too. Just certainly one to keep an eye out for. The Griquas. Wouldn't that be quite the final? Griquas versus Boland, the rematch. We did see earlier on, that's a big slamming tackle on the Cheetahs player. If Boland can beat the Sharks tomorrow, the Boland Cavaliers will be top of the table. Can't see the Bulls beating the Lions, says Sakabula there, and yellow says Jimbo. So now playing with the 14 men on the field for this Griquas side. Tajima look for the offload, another offload attempted this time from the Griquas after the drop ball from the Cheetahs, and we'll go back for another scrum. It's been a trend that we have seen in this one. Not even a yellow will change this game, says I Lollipop. Yeah, it's not going to affect this one too heavily, I wouldn't think. I think that more than likely this one is well and truly done and dusted. Now it just comes down more so how much by are we going to see them win? And I think that it's going to be somewhere around here, I would say. Just a stoppage now once again for a little bit of an injury. 12 minutes left. The reality is that Boland is where almost all the Springboks are from. Paljam, Paul Roos, and Paul Boys schools. But all those kids will always want to come play for the Western Province when it comes to the unions. Yeah, and I do think that the fact that Boland, at this point in time, they're almost the team that a lot of people are backing more so than the Western Province. And I think that that's because they're just, they're considered that smaller option, but they have a huge amount of passion, and their fan base has been absolutely incredible throughout the season. If Cup goes like this, then all the URC teams can start week 1, says Jimbo. True, and maybe that's part of it. I know that because the URC starts so early, last year they did reshuffle the games. This year I don't believe they're doing that. So they have, it sucks that we don't see competitive teams from the URC side of things, but then you can understand why they aren't playing all their big players. They don't want to risk the injuries, but, if there was promotion and demotion in the Currie Cup still, then maybe they would have gone with slightly stronger teams. Provincial rugby is good. Young and up-and-coming talents come through from high schools next step, URC clubs and international reps. And I need the Griquas to win by 26 points, says Rebel. Oh, and that becomes a penalty now. Quick tap was taken, but not on the mark. And the Griquas on fire, says Christo. Right, so Rebel, you don't want 2 more tries here. The Cheetahs are once again kicking this one for the corner. Thanks so much for the great commentary, says World Champs twice. No worries at all. We are going to be back tomorrow with plenty more rugby. The Pacific Nations Cup, one of the games that we are going to be covering, will be Fiji versus Tonga. That is taking place in only around 10 and a half hours' time. Alongside that, we've got Japan versus Canada. Then also some Rugby World Cup for the women's side of things. Alongside maybe some Carling Currie Cup or a bit of a overlapping type of situation there. How we'll do a bit of both on the same stream now. Nice attacking from the Cheetahs. Breaking away to the side. Getting extremely close. Off to the left-hand side again here for this Cheetah side. They've defended well, though, the Griquas throughout this game. Been thoroughly impressive on both sides of the equation. I think they're asking for the penalty. They end up getting it. This might be another yellow card. Yes, it is. The Griquas down to 13 now. for the last 10 minutes of this game or so. Oh, they decided to take the quick tap, and they have to go back because they had a player leaving the field. Caleb Abrahams, he will be the man off. Western Province getting demoted. It would have been a scene. There was a time the Bulls back in Northern Transvaal got demoted while Hughes was their captain. They won the second division that year naturally. Says Big Mac. And yellow says Jimbo, and also everyone's busy, including the scoreboard. I've only realised. Says Doc. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm on the scoreboard for these Currie Cup live streams. I always forget. I'm so used to them updating automatically, but we'll chuck that on. There we go, 71. We might have to chuck on a try here if the Griquas aren't careful. Another advantage. And there goes my 26-plus margin. Says Rebel. Although the Griquas, they haven't been too bad enough stolen the ball again, but they go back for another penalty. Another blow of the whistle from the referee. Is this a third yellow card? Yes, it is. Another, or is it another yellow? I think it was. Number 5 is off the field. 3 yellow cards. They're playing with 12. Lebenberg, the man who now goes off. And Molsack, what's up, everyone? Says Xander, welcome in. Hope you're doing extremely well. 12 on the field, and the Cheetahs still can't score. Surely they can break through now, right? Like they're running out of players. And the F is going on, says Rebel. It's ever since you mentioned your bet, they've decided, hey, we'll just all hop off the field. We'll make it a little bit more interesting. At what rate do you just give a penalty try? This is all cynical on the 5 metre. That's honestly a good option, or a good way of looking at it. Like, these are all very close to being tries for the Cheetahs. Rolling Maul this time has to go over. Yes, it does, and the Cheetahs score in the 72nd minute. Still another 8 minutes left, Rebel. The crowd, they are celebrating that one. The first yellow card will end up retiring in 5 minutes too. But the easy maul try, when you're lacking defenders for the Cheetahs, of course, they could actually work their way to a bonus point here if they're not careful, the Cheetahs, because you work on the theory, they score once more, and then all they have to do is just score before the full-time whistle. Although my team, Western Province, losing games, not happy with the Western Province, says Christo. Yeah, although I do think the Stormers will go a lot better in the URC than the Western Province are doing now. Sorry, Mr. Hamish. Are you doing us a fantastic commentary, says Doc. That one is Mr. Way to the side, so the score will remain at 10 points to 40. Still not a great score line. What were the score predictions earlier on? 30 plus I did see for the Griquas a few times. Who else do we have right at the start? We'll scroll right back through. See what predictions we had on the board. I am trying my best to rapid fire read in terms of the predictions. We did see, where is it? Cheetahs to win by 3 from Johan. That one, unfortunately, that was the score that a lot of people expected. We had a 42-27 from Lilia. That may not be the Cheetahs just knocked the ball on again. No, in fact, they've called it sideways. Very lucky there. As they'll be able to keep going. 29-27 was another score that we saw. 45-35 from Yuri. See, no one was back in a Griquas one-sided affair in this match. In fact, all of the scorelines look close. And yes, Miss says Rebel. And on 13 men on dead man chest. Geez, Cheetahs can't score. Absolutely should have been a penalty try, says Jimbo there. Now another chance. You needed them to win by 26, didn't you, Rebel? So they can't score again here if they are the Cheetahs. And still another 6.5 minutes of playing up against 12. Bookies had Cheetahs to win. Minus 8.5. Yeah, this game is far from what anyone was expecting for this matchup. It just shows the unpredictability, though, of the Carling Currie Cup, that no matter how straightforward a game seems, I mean, the Bulls versus Pumas game earlier on in the year proved just that. Like, nothing is for certain in this comp. But the Griquas, they are 22 metres out from their own line, kicking it high, trying to find a way. Oh, it's another knock on from the Cheetahs. They just can't catch the ball in this game. Kicked him behind, 50-22. What a brilliant play there from this Griquas side. Franz Dane pulling his beard out, says Sakabula. And Griquas' defence in their own 22 has been excellent, says Jimbo. yeah, they just made some really good decisions. And the fact that they've won a 50-22 up against 15 men when they're playing with 12, they just want it more, it seems. William Darby looks like he's got a little bit of cramp here, but a good kick that was actually from, I think it was Thomas Bursey. Got it to roll in behind for the 50-22. Like they've just said, the Cheetahs have had more than enough opportunities, but just haven't been able to get it at all going. And 8 minutes left, 12 versus 15, says Doc. Yeah, so currently now down to 5.5 with 2.5 remaining of the first yellow card. They've got their few, says Ruth. But the Griquas fans, they are absolutely loving the fact that they are ahead by the 30 points. Just looking at the live standings and the way that would mean that they are sitting, the Griquas, their points differential would increase to 78. If that was the case, we see the cheerleaders of the Griquas, or in fact, no, that was the cheerleaders of the Cheetahs having a bit of a dance there on the sideline. But the Cheetahs, they will not get any sort of bonus point from this game, and their points differential will drop to plus 10, which means that Borland would only need 1 point from their game up against the opposition and the Sharks. It's a good attack and run up to the halfway line now for the Cheetahs again, looking at a short side, another knock on. It is at the moment going like clockwork, how every single time they try and put more than 2 phases together, someone's putting that ball down on the grass. Cheetahs are their own worst enemy, and Griquas Gershon Ware, I think he has as many tries as the entire Sharks team has. The entire Currie Cup season, 8 tries each. Says Big Mac. Yes, he's had a fair few. How about Donovan Don? How many has he had for Borland? Out of curiosity. I know that he's also right up there in terms of numbers for the amount of tries scored. Well, those two seem to be actually just leading the charge at this point in time. Oh, we've got a few stats section. Top scorers is loading. Still loading. Oh, there we go. So, that's point scorers. Right, try scorers. Donovan Don has 7. Caleb Abrahams has 5. Yandre Rudolph has 4. Brodja has 4. Yandre now has 4. I'd assume that Gershon would be right up there too, though, to be fair. Am I bad? I mixed up Gershon and Donovan. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Gershon does have now 7. I don't know how to find... Oh, here we go, player. We're loading it in. Well, this is very fancy. Select a player from the Springboks. Okay, no, I'm in the wrong section. Currie Cup. Can I do that? No. Okay, I ended up on like a Springbok database that wasn't Currie Cup related. Oh, we'll get there. That must wreck the coach's head, and Butterfingers will love it. Says Rebel there. And also, that must... Oh, no, I read that one. A walkover weird game, says Ruth. Yeah, definitely, because I'm sure that the coach heading into this game, Frans Steyn, he would have thought they had a very decent shot of being able to do well here. But the own worst enemy is the perfect way of pretty much summarising what we've seen. Griquas told to use it. They are sitting currently about 45 metres from their try line, rolling this back. It will be Thomas Bursey. Looking both ways, decides to go off to the left-hand side. And the thing is, there is no rushing here from the Griquas. They are firmly in control. They don't need to do anything drastic because they should win this game. Griquas gunning for a home semi-final. It'll be difficult for anyone to win in Kimberley. Says Big Mac. Yeah, I think that it would be massive for the Griquas. That's the same with Cheetahs and Borland. Borland's got the door wide open. Imagine a home game for them in the semi-final. Some didn't even know whether they'd win 1 or 2 games. That looked like a big clean out there, and the Griquas win themselves another penalty. So Cheetahs can't score against 12? Correct. Other than that one try that they got off a rolling maul, which honestly you would expect when the opposition are missing 2 of their forward pack. Now, Griquas told to use it, and Griquas still controlling the ball with 12 men, says Jimbo. Yeah, it's really impressive. Like, I know that we've talked about the Cheetahs' inability at times to be able to score in this game, but the fact that the Griquas are doing this up against 3 extra men, like, it is actually a real testament to their determination away from home too, to have 3 men down and still going strong. Cheerleaders need a medal to keep positive for their Cheetahs team. Yeah, I think heading into this game, they probably had a lot of plans of, celebrating what the Cheetahs were going to do. How long left? 3 minutes remaining. So you're still all right at the moment, Rebel. Definitely because the Griquas have got themselves a line-out throw 20 metres out from the Cheetahs line. Now, putting that ball in again to the rolling maul. It's been a great feeding. Oh, a big collision there. Not a lot of arms involved in that tackle from Gideon Fundermerva. To the left-hand side again here for the Griquas. Being told to use it back to the right. Another advantage. This will be good for the Griquas. This should use up a majority of the remaining time on the clock. Number 6, no arms tackle. So Gideon Fundermerva did get penalised for that one. 3 to go with 12 men, says Doc. Yeah, they are now back to 13 men here. For the Griquas, they have gained another prop, so that will be very handy for this rolling maul, which I assume we are about to see from this Griquas side. Kicked into touch off the side of the boot. It's just that breakaway off the back of the rolling maul, and yeah, Gideon Fundermerva not trying to put in too many arms there. Very impressive mindset, says Jimbo. Shows how much the Currie Cup means to the so-called underdogs, says Lily. Yeah, exactly right. Like, the sides that are supposed to lose don't like to, and they don't want to, and they don't look like losing at times up against those big teams. I still look at that Bulls-Pumas game, as well as Bulland versus the Lions. Those two matches pretty much just summed up what this Carling Currie Cup is, and that is unpredictable and very entertaining. The Cheetahs have hardly put 2 passes. It's another knock on. Every time. They've tried to pass the ball and it just goes on the floor. I have no idea why. It is a home field advantage, so you'd think that would help, but it's another knock on. Uncharacteristic from this Cheetah side. I don't know whether it's that they're trying to rush it. Oh my lordy, knock on, game over. Says Jimbo there, and happy for these teams. The big unions all focused on the URC, says Sakabola. And yeah, unfortunately with the fact that there's not that demotion, if they do finish last, it means that, you're not going to have as much commitment from those big teams as perhaps if there was the chance of getting relegated. But 30 seconds remaining. Once again, the Cheetahs find themselves inside of their own 22, having to defend a scrum from the Griquas, who have been pretty dominant across the board, but particularly scrum time, they have not really put too many feet wrong. And now ball about to be fed in. A few were sweating bullets. Says Rebel there. Now big push too early from the Griquas. There is the free kick. They're just going to tap this and boot this ball out. They are 22 metres out from the line, so really the Griquas could go for one last attack. Nope, they will not. They will kick this ball out. And that will be the end of the game. 40 points to 10, the end score. And the victors in this match, it is the away side. And it is the Griquas. But great start to the contest. 3 early tries, a bonus point win for this Griquas side too. So they will be more than happy with what they've been able to do away from home. That was nuts, says Jimbo. Yeah, that was a really, really strong performance from the Griquas. Sadly, the Cheetahs, they just weren't good enough in this match. Sign of a good team. I don't stop going till the final whistle. Keep pushing. Says Ruth there. Yeah, nonetheless, do thank you all very much for tuning in. Of course, we are going to be back with some more live streams later on. We've got the Pacific Nations Cup, which is going to be kicking off in 10 hours, 10 minutes between Fiji and Tonga. Then from there, I'm hoping to do Japan versus Canada. That is the 8 p.m. game, but I better make sure it's on New Zealand TV, or else I will be set up for failure. So we might actually check that now before I do go. Thank you, Kiwi Lad. Says, Doc, no worries at all. A monster performance from the Griquas. Yeah, that's it. Like, they've had close games this season. But I would say, for me anyway, this was the best performance from the Griquas, honestly, this year. The way that they were clinical, they took their early chances, they just seemed to want it more. So Japan versus Canada is being shown here in New Zealand, so that will be another option for a live stream as well. Japan come in as huge favourites heading into that contest, the biggest favourite of the round. And then we've also got the Women's World Cup. We are going to be covering some of those games. Hopefully Fiji versus Scotland will be the first match, and then alongside that, we'll be doing some Currie Cup updates. Maybe England, Samoa, just because I think England are probably a team to keep an eye on in this Women's World Cup, seeing as they have been pretty dominant in the women's game for quite some time. Plus, it will give me some practice learning who everyone is before the big games. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, I was trying to say, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I am going to set up those streams, and then I am going to get some sleep. But I will see you all for the next one.